What did I think of the Royal Rumble? What did I think of the Royal Rumble? What did I think of the Royal Rumble? I'm hocked up on coffee. So in my heavily caffeinated state right now, I'm on a bit of a rush. The Royal Rumble was last night. Gotta tape this. Gotta get this out there and give you my thoughts on the Royal Rumble while I'm so excited and so pumped up because of all the caffeine I just ingested. Coffee's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Coffee's just so wonderful. I love it. Couldn't get through my day without it. But yeah, what did I think of the Royal Rumble? Well, let me break it down match by match. I'll just talk about it that way. Alberto Del Rio versus The Big Show for the World Heavyweight title. Last man standing match in a rematch from a match they had on SmackDown a few weeks ago where Alberto won the title. Bret Hart made an appearance before the match, was really forced and really weird, and Bret looks awful. And it makes me sad to see. I swear to God, he ages 10 years every time I see him. It's tragic almost. But what did I think of the match? Well, maybe I'm just unfavorably comparing it to their SmackDown match, but I didn't like this one as much. I didn't click with this one. I felt like it kind of fell into the same pattern that I don't like with a lot of last man standing matches, where it's just do a spot, then count to 10, then do a spot, then count to 10, then do a spot, then count to 10, and then they do whatever the finish is. And the finish was really weak. I mean, really, we're bringing back the duct tape? Weren't you made fun of for that? I mean, Batista, duct tape? Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. Duct tape? You know what, to this day, I don't know if they were making fun of the ending or if they make fun of Batista's promo in reaction to it. I don't know, but whatever, it gets made fun of. I was a little surprised to see them bring it back. The ending in the match they had on SmackDown, I thought was much better and far more creative and more appropriate for that type of match. The spot they did off the piece of the set was really scary and dangerous and made me go, please don't die. That thing is swaying back and forth pretty badly. Please don't die. And of course, when Alberto went through the table, I was like, oh, thank God, they're okay. I was like, okay, nobody's gonna die. But I'm not saying it was a terrible match. I just didn't like it as much as their SmackDown match, especially since that one had a title change. That one just felt bigger, and it just felt weird to do a lesser version of a match that we got for free on TV. And I had the idea of them doing a bit where, in the build-up, where Big Show hurts Ricardo, and Alberto's fighting to get revenge for his friend, because that was kind of the crux of how quickly I accepted Del Rio as a face, and that's why I felt it worked immediately. But also, I felt it would have given the build-up to this match a little bit more bite, because Del Rio's already the champion, so this just feels like a repeat of something that we saw on TV, so I would have liked them to take that extra avenue and do something with that, where Ricardo could do a run-in during the match and get the big pop for his return, or, something like that. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But, I don't know. This match just didn't do it for me as much as the other one did. And it didn't have anything like... My favorite spot in the SmackDown match that they had was the one where Del Rio took the punch and he rolled out of the ring and barely kind of tippy-toed on his feet to break the count. I thought that was really... I'm a fan of little stuff, like little nuances and subtleties. That's the stuff that I really like. Big spots are great, but I love those little things. But that's just me. But, Del Rio retained, which at this point might as well be the right move. It was just, I don't know, the match just didn't click with me. Next was the Tag Team Championship match, Team Hell No versus the Rhodes Scholars. It was an okay match. It was a typical WWE tag match, basically. I wish Damian Sandow and Cody had won the titles, because I'm a big fan of Damian Sandow right now. It's kind of like last month when I talked about Genesis. I was kind of hoping that Joey Ryan would win the tag titles, because come on, I like Joey Ryan. It's like, come on, give him the belt. And it was kind of that way with Sandow. He was like, come on, give him the belt. It's cool. I want him to have a belt. But yeah, I mean, Team Hell No retained, which I guess I understand. It wasn't a travesty or anything, but I was kind of hoping for a title change there. I want to talk about Team Hell No, actually, because I don't talk about them a whole lot, and a lot of people do. For better or worse. Some people hate them, and some people just adore them. They're kind of hit and miss with me. Sometimes their comedy bits are really funny, like the Dr. Evil speech from Kane. Actually, whenever they're funny, typically it's because of Kane, which doesn't sound right at all, but his dry delivery, I think, can be really funny. The bit in the diner, I thought was really funny. And I'm going to talk about them again when I get to the Royal Rumble, but Yeah, but they can also be really bad with some of their comedy bits, mainly the ones where they shout at each other, and they're basically repeating Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, Duck season, rabbit season bit that they did, and it's just not funny. And I don't think Vince, if they borrowed it from Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, I don't think Vince understands why that bit is funny. It's funny because you have one really smart character and one really, really impulsive character, and the smart character is quick-witted enough to change the direction of the argument and force the impulsive character to blow himself up, basically. That's why that works. Because it's verbal humor, and it's a quick change. It's, great timing and great delivery and everything. And if you want to borrow family-friendly entertainment from the Looney Tunes, I mean, that's a good place to start, because Looney Tunes are the best, right? But I think Vince thinks that bit is funny because it's two people shouting at each other. And I think that's the extent of it for him, and that's why it's like, oh, just go out there and yell at each other. It'll be great. And they even did a bit where they switched on, like, he's a nerd. No, he's a monster. And then they switched on each other. They made no sense. It was really poorly delivered. And it's just another example of, how WWE can really miss the ball with comedy. But other times, Team Hell No is really good. Sometimes Dr. Shelby's really funny. Sometimes he's not. It's hit or miss, and it really depends on, how the WWE is executing that particular day, or the material that they have lined up for them to do. But I don't mind comedy. I think, a good laugh every now and then is fine. And I think they've gotten the fans to really invest in Team Hell No, which that's a real positive. It's like when people, complain to me, it's like, oh, Daniel Bryan's not getting pushed. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's one of the most heavily pushed guys in the company. It's just the tag titles that he's pushed with, and it's fine. I mean, fuck, he's got a pretty comfortable spot right now, I think. But okay, I understand you want to see him as world champion, but dude, he's one of the top guys on the show right now. Let's be honest. But yeah, that's the end of that. That's the end of my thoughts on Team Hell No. That's when we had the Rumble, which I was shocked it came as early as it did, but then I realized, oh wait, there are no bonus matches, I guess, and Punk and Rock will probably just take up the last hour. So all right, whatever. Royal Rumble. What did I think of the Rumble? Well, we all knew Cena was going to win. Let's just get that out of the way right now. And if you didn't know Cena was going to win, I feel sorry for you. We were calling it, most of us were calling it weeks ago, maybe even 2 or 3 months ago. It was just obvious. We knew it. And with that knowledge going in, that inevitability just hanging over the match, did I at least enjoy the ride? I'm going to say yes. I did enjoy the Rumble. It was certainly better than the last 2 Rumbles. That's because the last 2 Rumbles just didn't do it for me at all. I thought the match overall was fun, entertaining. It went by quick. It was so, it must have held my attention, and it must have entertained me, because it did go by really fast, it felt. And I liked a lot of the things that they did. Ziggler playing Spider Monkey, which is great. I know I said the beat the clock stuff that they did on Raw was completely pointless because, the winner ultimately got hosed and the prize was just thrown out the window. But it's not a bad idea to put Ziggler in that number 1 spot, because he's going to be great with it. And I knew he would be, and he was great with it. He was bumping and selling and clinging onto the ropes for dear life. He was a spider monkey. It was great. It was a wonderful Marathon Man performance. And Jericho, who was a nice surprise, by the way. I know they do their nostalgia pops like Goldust, and they did Godfather, who got, bushwhacker treatment. But Jericho was a genuine nice surprise, and he gave a nice Marathon Man performance too. And it was cool to see him and Ziggler last the entire way through up until past number 30. And Jericho did some great stuff too, like when he hung off the middle rope and did the Shawn Michaels 95 skin the cat spot. I watched that and I was like, damn, Shawn, eat your heart out. And there are a couple of other things I enjoyed as well. Like I said, it was solidly entertaining throughout. The Kofi Kingston chair spot was a little awkward. I don't know. It felt like they came up with the chair thing on the fly, because I think Kofi was supposed to jump from the table to the ring. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like that the plan was for Kofi to do something amazing, and he kind of looked at it and was like, I can't make that jump, which, from a standing position, making that jump, that's a pretty difficult thing to do. So it felt like they just came up with the chair spot on the fly, and he kept standing there on the table. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, Kofi's going to do something amazing. Kofi's going to do something amazing. And then he did the chair thing, and I was like, fuck. I could have done that. Jeez, that wasn't that cool. And it felt really awkward. So it leads me to believe that maybe whatever they planned kind of, fell apart on them. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Personally, though, if it were up to me, I probably would have just gotten off the table, gotten down on 1 foot, and then just bounced, all the way across to the ring. I'm athletic! And there was some other stuff in the Rumble I liked. The Team Hell No spot was really funny, I thought. The way that Bryan and Kane eliminated each other, I thought that was a really funny spot. And that was good comedy between the two right there. And makes me wonder what they're going to do with them with their relationship going forward. So that was funny. You know, and overall it was just a solidly entertaining Royal Rumble with an ending that we all saw coming a mile away. I mean, when it came down to Ryback and Cena, I'm like, well, Ryback's the only one besides Cena that I can see winning this match. And even that's like, I don't know, 85% Cena, I would assume. That's just how obvious it was. So, you know, a lot of people are upset about it. It's like, come on, we knew it was coming. We knew. So I already got over my grieving phase. And actually, I've got a few opinions on what they could possibly do with Cena, either going into WrestleMania or even at WrestleMania itself. So I'm going to cover that in a video next week. So a little preview for you. But until then, I think there is something that they can do with the Cena Rumble victory that might be interesting. I don't know. But that leads me into the main event of the show, CM Punk defending the WWE title against The Rock. Which, you know, it is risky to close out the Royal Rumble pay-per-view with the title match over the Rumble itself. Because you got to think about it, the Rumble is an hour-long match with 30 people in it that, you know, fans are counting down the entire way through. It's a very exhausting thing. So it's really tough to follow it. And not that it's impossible. Shawn did it in 97 and 98. But other times, like Bret and Taker in 96, that match was boring as fuck because the crowd just did not give a shit. The crowd was tired as hell, and it was just a very lackluster match. And then you had Royal Rumble 06, which, I mean, that show closed out with Angle versus Henry, and that was one of the worst pay-per-view main events I've ever seen, and you can even see people leaving. It was so boring. What did I think of Punk and Rock? You know, going into this match, I was really excited with the build-up, and I thought the WWE... This match had the makings of a classic, because WWE built this up perfectly. Was it a classic? No. And I think people are going to be disappointed with that. I was a little disappointed. I was like, yeah, this isn't the awesome match I thought it was going to be. I don't know if it was because they followed the Rumble and the crowd just wasn't as into it. Because I expected this to be one of those matches where the crowd would just react to everything that they did, and that didn't quite happen. Again, I don't know if the Rumble had something to do with that. I don't know. Was it a bad match? No, I enjoyed it. It was a pretty good match. It was main event worthy, solid match. It's just not the classic match that I would have expected given this awesome build-up that it's had. Now, obviously, I got to talk about the finish, which has already pissed a lot of people off. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I don't know. Personally, as it happened, and you know, when the lights went out and the Shield clearly attacked The Rock and put him through the table and everything. Which, by the way, I should also note that the spot they did where Rock was going to rock bottom Punk through the table and the table gave way, I've seen that happen a lot. And this goes back to the Attitude Era, so I don't know what is the problem. I remember it was SummerSlam 2000 when Kurt Angle just face planted right on the table. He was supposed to get pedigreed through the table, and the table gave way, and he just, boom, smacked face first right into the table, and he got a concussion from it. I remember that. Just like, I don't know, it's weird how that happens sometimes, but I felt bad for them there, because whenever that happens, it's just like, dude, there's something bad could happen from a spot like that. You'd think those tables would be a little bit, I don't know, they'd be able to find some kind of a happy medium where they're secure enough to where, you know, you go through it. And that's another thing I know, sometimes they're too secure, and they'll slam the guy on it, and it won't break. I've seen that happen a lot, too, so I don't know, it's really weird. But getting back to the ending, when the lights went out and Rock had been powerbombed through the table, the first words out of my mouth was, okay, I understand there's the law that the ref can't call it if he didn't see it. That really takes the letter of the law to the extreme, because referee, you didn't notice, like, the Rock just, are you just assuming that the Rock just teleported up, like, 2 feet above a table and just slammed himself right through it? I mean, that to me right there should have been a disqualification on CM Punk right off the bat, because, whether they noticed the Shield or not, it's still like, okay, somebody put Rock through that table. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. But when Punk pinned Rock, I was actually, like, genuinely shocked by it, but at the same time, I was like, well, it's nice that Rock laid down for a fucking table bump, which he should, because that should be a game-ending match, or a game-ending spot. But then they did all the shenanigans, and they totally had me sold. I was like, oh my god, Punk won? That's a little shocking. And the way it was going, I was like, oh my god, they're really going to end the pay-per-view like this. So that's different from what I expected. Then, of course, Vince McMahon came out. I was like, okay, there you go. And, at least, and this is where I'll give it credit, at least they played it smart. Like, okay, we're not stupid. We know it was the Shield. And that's, to me, is a very intelligent response to the situation. It's like, what, you really expect us to believe that we don't know that was the Shield that did that? It's like, okay, no. And ultimately, they decided to restart the match, and Rock won the title, as everyone expected. I thought the ending came off okay. I thought it was, at least for a minute, they convinced me that Rock wasn't going to win the title. And they convinced me that the match was over. So going into it, I was like, it was a foregone conclusion that Rock was going to win. So at least they had me sold for, like a minute or two. So I liked the ending. I enjoyed it. And, Rock winning the title, again, Rock Cena 2 has to happen. So we knew that was coming. Once in a lifetime. Bullshit. So yeah, not excited for Rock and Cena 2. And if, generally, like, a lot of the negative stuff I'm hearing about this pay-per-view stems from that. It's like, oh god, we use this whole pay-per-view to set up a match that I don't want. And I understand that, but overall, I thought the Rumble was a solid pay-per-view. Yeah, Punk and Rock didn't live up to my very high expectations, quite honestly. But the Rumble was fun. Punk and Rock was good. I thought it was a pretty good match. And there was nothing terrible on the show. Nothing that made me go, oh my god, that was the worst thing ever. I thought it was solid. It was a good pay-per-view overall. Just not an awesome one, which I think people were expecting. I don't know. But I enjoyed the Royal Rumble overall, and we'll see where this goes heading into WrestleMania, so stay tuned for that.